What's up, YouTube? Got another Fast and Furious little game for you here. And I'm on low carb right now, so if I sound like a moron, don't judge too harshly. But um, I'm playing in the Tier 5 Leopard, the VK1602, and in my opinion, this is one of the best kept secrets of World of Tanks in terms of just really fun, good all around low tier tanks to play in. In terms of Tier 5 Scout tanks, I feel like this tank is right up there with the ELC AMX. It's one of the best, if not the best, Tier 5 light tanks, in my opinion. And hopefully I'll show you why. And I feel like it's actually a little bit more versatile than the ELC AMX because it does have a turret and it has more damage potential per burst than the ELC has with its one shot. And in terms of light tanks, what's really important is it has reset potential a lot more because you have 12 shots per clip. So potentially you can run in there and just reset every tank in the cap. But look at this. This is kind of important. This gun is actually pretty good in terms of penetration. It has about 90 millimeters with the standard ammo and 110 with the APCR. And if you notice right away there, in the first minute of the game, I killed their most dangerous arty, the M12. Ugh. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Anyways, that's their most dangerous arty out of the game, right from the get-go. And I'm playing on this ridgeline here. That's how I like to play this map in my light tanks. Just try to be pretty aggressive and spot. And look at on the right-hand side, all that assistance damage I'm causing to these enemy tanks. And I'm doing some damage of my own as well, but a lot of people kind of turn to the Panzer 1C as like the fun derpy machine gun tank, but in my opinion this tank beats it because it's basically like a Panzer 1C, but it's on steroids. Like, it's bigger, better armored, it has a better gun, and it's almost just as fast. And I think it has better gun depression. You saw over the side it has pretty good gun depression, but what makes the difference for me is this gun, this 90 millimeters of penetration. Pretty much you can penetrate most targets, if not from the front, then from the side or from the rear. And if you penetrate all your shots in one clip, it does like 390 to 400 points of damage, which is about like getting hit by an IS-3. So this tank can really be a pain in your ass if you're not, and watch this. As that Covenanter, I don't even know how to pronounce that, just found out, like, I just soloed him right there. And obviously it's the tier 4 light tank, so I mean, you're not going to expect much out of it, but that's what this tank is good for, just finding tanks in like a 300 to 200 HP range and just executing them really quickly and then getting out. It's like a good little assassin tank. And I run it with 100 octane because it has only 36 degrees of traverse in the hull or the tracks or whatever, however you want to say that. But that helps it just a little bit because it gives a better traverse, and I feel like that's really crucial for a light tank because you need to be able to really make those tight turns and get out of tight situations before things get too hairy. And I'm trying to execute this Chaffee, and this is kind of how I like to play this tank. I actually have a pretty aggressive loadout for this tank in terms of my equipment, so I try to play it as more of an active spotter slash flanker assassin tank. I don't really like the whole passive spotting thing. It's a little too passive for my taste, but watch this. I almost take out this Chaffee. If it wasn't for that wreck, he probably would have been dead, but now they both know that I'm reloading. That 101 relocated, so I'm getting out of there. And there's where that 100 octane really helped. You see how fast I pivoted around and just got out of there before they could even react. And I almost make a mistake here. I go out into the field, but then I decide to quickly turn around because there's an SU-101 out there. And he has a very fast firing, accurate gun, so he could end me in 2 shots if he's good. So I decide not to take that chance. And that's kind of what you have to do in this tank, and really in all light tanks, is look for targets of opportunity like this. And if you gotta find openings in the enemy lines, but if you don't find it, don't just try to brute force your way through. That's what the heavy tanks are for. That's what those big assault tank destroyers are for. With light tanks, you have the ability to turn around, go somewhere else, and find an opening. So that's what I'm doing. And if you guys didn't notice, that guy, Heavy Metal 6 in the VK, he spontaneously platooned with me because he wants me to help him with his mission where I kill artillery or something like that. And I decide, okay, whatever. I'm probably going to kill artillery anyway, so I guess I'll help him. And I was actually hoping to ram that E25 from the side, but he got out of the way. And that's one other thing this tank is actually pretty good at that a lot of other light tanks aren't, is it can ram fairly well because it weighs roughly 25 tons fully loaded. And I think I just found my opening here, and I spotted one of their artillery, and he starts getting away. He probably has sixth sense. I mean, I didn't even start shooting before he started backing up and getting out of there, but like I was saying, this tank is fairly heavy for a light tank, and it has 50 millimeters of armor up at the front. So yeah, no, you're not gonna ram like a KV-5 with this or something, but it's good in a counter scout situation because a lot of scout tanks are really lightweight, like the ELC, the Chaffee, the Stewart, you know, the 1390, the 1375, the 12T. Probably the T71 as well. This tank is easily twice as heavy as those tanks, so a lot of times you'll come off on top in a ramming situation, and that's actually why I have spall liner on this tank. And like I said, it was a pretty aggressive loadout because that's one of my favorite strategies to employ in this tank, just because it's fun. And here's one last thing I wanted to point out. If you notice in chat there, I'm communicating with my team, and I feel like with light tanks, communication is the most crucial to any class whatsoever, because you gotta let your team know what you're doing. You gotta know where you're gonna be spotting, and especially in situations like this where it's getting really close, you want to coordinate your attacks carefully and take the enemies out one at a time. And I'm trying to tell that T-3485 to stay alive, but now it's like 85, stay alive, it like rhymes and everything. It's like a football player or something, I don't know. But anyways, he doesn't, unfortunately. But here's the good news. They tell me that KV-3 is on 6 HP. And that's why I loaded my 12 APCR shells. And these are what these shells are for. When you absolutely, positively need to kill something, that's what they're there for. Because, I think this does, what, 30 damage per shell? Yeah, 30 damage per shell. So I really only need to penetrate once with my 12 shots to kill him. And you'll find I don't even need all 12 shots. And remember earlier when I was talking about reset potential? Watch this. The E25 is capping. But because I have 6 shots, I don't need to aim. I can just snap and at least one of them's going to hit him. And did you see how fast I did that? He wasn't even able to shoot me, even though he has one of the fastest aim times in the game. And he was already pointing his gun in this direction. And I've definitely saved games like that where I've reset 2 or 3 guys at the same time just with one burst and just got the hell out of there. And that is one of the most rewarding feelings in this game, in my opinion. And you see I'm slowing the game down because this is unfortunately where things get a little stupid. So I was telling you about the ramming capacity of this tank, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, the E25 is really small, you know, it's not got a lot of armor. But then I forgot that it's called the E25 because it weighs 25 tons. And it has the same frontal armor that I do. And that happened. Yeah. Fortunately though, with that I managed to secure my Top Gun and get a Kamikaze medal, which means that I get the Courageous Resistance perk, or not the perk, modifier, I guess. Yeah, XP modifier. So now I have the same XP for this game as if I'd won. And yeah, it would have been better if I went around and tried to help this guy win. And I mean, that would have been a much more fun game to watch. But I feel like this is kind of a realistic game in a way that, like, sometimes you just got to cut your losses and get that Courageous Resistance. And I mean, I'm still pretty satisfied with this game for the most part. Right up until the end, I was doing pretty great. So lesson learned for next time. And unfortunately we do lose, but Man, that was just a fun game. That's why I love this tank. Even when you lose, it's just fun. And it's so, I don't know, I really like how it looks. It's like a cartoonish little panther. It's got like a little turret, and the hull kind of looks like a panther, but it's kind of fat. I don't know. It's a funny looking tank. I really like it, and I enjoy playing it. Alright, so as you can see, Ace Tanker, Kamikaze, Top Gun, all these little tokens. Pretty fun game overall. I did get 2211 XP on a defeat, so that's pretty cool. There's that Courageous Resistance modifier coming into play. And you'll see I did almost exactly the same amount of spotting damage as direct damage, and that to me kind of shows that this tank is... It's kind of a jack of all trades in terms of light tanks, not really in terms of just any kind of tank, but it can spot and it can be aggressive equally well, so that's why I like it. I feel like it's not relegated to spotting or just like... And because it has better view range than the ELC, I feel like it's a better spotter, whereas the ELC is almost purely like a flanking, kind of like assassin tank. Top on kills, almost top on damage, top on XP for sure though. Pretty good overall. And there's that Courageous Resistance that I was talking about. See, like I would have gotten a lot less XP, but because I did get those epic medals, I got a lot more, so that's cool. And the money shot. Didn't make too much money in this tank, but it is because I fired those 12 APCR rounds. If I didn't, I would have made a lot more. It would have been almost pure profit actually, now that I look at it, so that's pretty cool. I mean, for a light tank, this thing makes pretty decent money, and it is a tier 5, so that's the sweet spot for money making in terms of non-premium tanks, and it's just such a small tank, so it's so cheap to repair, and the gun is so cheap to put ammo into, so yeah, this tank definitely gets a thumbs up from me. I really enjoyed. I feel like the move to tier 5 a long time ago was actually very beneficial to it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, etc. Let me know what you think. Bye.